Well, welcome to the live stream. So we got 6 people watching. If you guys can hear me okay, go ahead and throw something up in the chat for me real quick, if you don't mind. Good old Southern boy here. Hey Sean, how's it going? I finally got all those packed up and got those 2 chargers ready to go out. Thank you for joining. I got Kev Central. Let's move over to this particular camera. I've got Kev Central with us today. He's helping me moderate the channel since this is my first time going live. So if you guys would jump over to Kev Central and on his YouTube channel, he reviews bikes. So give him a subscribe and give him a thumbs up. I'm kind of looking down here at my iPad, checking the chat back and forth as I get ready to go. As you see behind me here, I got my little setup. We'll swap over to the big camera on the other side here in a few moments. I appreciate everybody joining. NX Pro, I think I said that correctly. Thank you. And Sean, thank you. Where do we have the individuals today? Where's everybody from? I see Sean's from Florida, which I know that already. Do we have any other Alabama people in here? And of course, I'm not sure if you guys know, but with live, there is a little delay between the time that I talk and the time you see it or hear it. So chat's pretty fast. So, all right. Moving on up. Well, I was going to give everybody a few more moments, but I got a few topics today to start off with. It's going to be great. It could get a little bit heated, but this is all a discussion. So let's make sure that we let everybody know it's just a discussion and kind of my point of view. And I would love your input, so leave that in the chat. Let me know. I'm going to be reading the chat, and we're going to discuss everything. I am wearing the DIY Solar Energy shirt. If you guys want to get one, going to come up with another design. This was my original logo, converting over from Is It Rig, and it's okay for a shirt, or rather okay for a logo. It looks okay on the shirt, I'll say it at that. So I've got shirts and stickers up there. Kev Central's going to throw some links up there here shortly. There he goes. There we go. I appreciate that. Okay, well, I am going to do some magic here and swap over to the bench. And we're going to start talking about batteries, all different kind of batteries. Take my trusty iPad over here with me. And let's do a bench swap. Sean needs batteries. Okay. Let's see here if I can keep the iPad out of frame. Okay. iPad's out of frame. Told y'all guys it was a little bit of a delay. So what you see here is a vast array of different battery types, different chemistries. What you can't see in frame over here is various different chargers and BMSs. So we're going to talk about BMSs, chargers. I don't know if I want to bring up a PWM versus MPP charge controller at this point, but it could come up. Depends on where we stand at for time. I want to try to keep this an hour to an hour and a half tops. So I guess the first thing I want to do is start moving some of this out of the way, and let's talk about the different cells. And then we'll come back to all of these other items. And let's see here. Again, I want to welcome you all for coming, and I surely appreciate it. So, let's talk lithium batteries. Do we realize that there are several different makes of lithium batteries? We have lithium cobalt, lithium manganese, lithium iron phosphate, lithium nickel manganese cobalt, lithium nickel cobalt aluminum oxide, and then lithium nickel titanate. So why do we need these various different lithium chemistries? Well, again, these are strictly my opinion. Well, if you look back when lithium first came on, or even take it like this, let's look at Tesla. They are using these cells right here. And these are a cylindrical cell. And matter of fact, even as I speak, this right here is a Model 3 cell out of a Model 3 car. These are brand new. These are 21700, 5000 mAh. These were brand new cells from Big Battery. So now in the Model S, you have 18650s. Now, why do we have, again, these different mixtures or different chemistries? This, again, is going to be kind of from my point of view, but I want to see your makeup, what you think. So 18650s, lithium, your standard 18650, 21700s, your 26650s, your 38120s, or even your 32650s. This is all these down here, including these headways. Now, cylindrical cells are great because you can build packs with them. Not to say you can't build packs with a prismatic cell, as in these top bands, or with pouch cells. With your cylindrical cells, you can build small packs and put them in like a plastic tray that we have now. The price of actually came down. So now, why would you want to get a cylindrical cell versus a prismatic cell? So here is a prismatic cell. Here is a cylindrical cell. Well, to start with, your cylindrical cells are typically a lower MAH. Like this particular cell here is a 26650, and this particular cell is only 9.4 watt hours. Now this is a LiPo 4 cylindrical cell, but your energy density, I can't even get the word out. Energy density, I just killed that word, is much lower on some of your cylindrical type cells, especially in this size. Now, when you get up to like your 38120s, which are your headways, they do go up quite a bit. These are 8 amp hour, and they go all the way up to 15 amp hour. So, when you get into your prismatic cells, now this is a small prismatic cell. Unfortunately, I do not have any of the 280 or 272 amp hour prismatic cells. These have a huge energy. I'm not going to be able to get that word out tonight. It's just terrible. Density. I cannot get that word out. So, but you can pack a lot more punch in a prismatic cell. Now, if we take a step backwards, these would be like a pouch cell, kind of similar to a prismatic. Now, since we're talking about pouch cells, here we go. We have these. These are 200 amp hour a piece. And what do I mean by 200 amp hours a piece? Well, I have a stack here, and each little thin pouch cell is 200 amp hours, and these are, I'm sorry, 8.5 amp hours, which can release 200 amps at a pulse rate. And these were particularly used on electric buses. They had a huge pack built with these, or several packs built with these. But now these are lithium ion, a form, not a lipo, but a pouch lithium. These are very powerful. You can take 4 of these and start a car. This is no joke. I've done it. Now, I've got these, and I'm not sponsored by no manufacturer, no particular distributor. I bought these with my own money to build things with for my channel. So I bought these to build a small little pack with, which I have not yet. But I put 4 of these together, which brought me up to, 4.2 times 4. So a little over 16 volts. But I didn't have it all the way up at 4.2 volts. Because the max voltage for these are 4.2 volts. The nominal voltage is around 3.6 or 3.7. I just did not have the spec sheet. And let's look over here at the chat. You can't read anything on the cells. I do have it zoomed out quite a bit, so let me zoom in a little bit. And I will go through each cell and show you all each cell individually, but I want to kind of give you a hierarchy of everything that I have here. So these are lithium ion, and these are very energy dense. And they can be very dangerous if these positive and the negatives, well, this would be your positive in here and then your negative in here. So if you happen to take one of these, and they will flop. There's your negative, positive. If you short circuit this, these pouch cells will blow up. And they can catch fire. Certain YouTubers created a video on doing these pouch cells. So I'm looking over here at the chat. Sean asked, so are prismatic cells more dense in the same space? I would say yes. Example, here we have a 32650. Now this is a 6000 mAh. They're right at around 6000 mAh. Now that would be 6 amp hours. And this is a 25 amp hour. Well, so if I wanted to make 25 amp hours out of this, well, so far we're at 12. Now these are LiPo 4 cells, so let me zoom out just a little bit for you guys. So if I put 4 of these in here, which are still thicker than the prismatic cell, if I put 4 of these in here, that'd be 24 amp hours on top of all the nickel strip and holders you've got to have. So these are thicker. Compare the thickness. And the height is going to be close to the same, but now these are larger 32650 cells. So there's your 32650, 3.2 volts. Does that make sense? In terms of weight, I'm looking at Sonia here, different cell in terms of weight for given volume. Okay, so I think I know what Sonia is meaning here. So if we take 4 of these, and I don't have a fourth one, I only have 3 of these out, and we weigh these, this actual prismatic cell is going to weigh a little bit more because of its housing and of its studs. But once you factor in with your cylindrical cells, if you put 4 of them up here with their holders and some heavy duty nickel strip, the weight's going to be somewhat close, yes.
They are saying that the image is reversed. When you held up that battery, the writing is backwards.
Let me look here on screen. Oh, okay, I see what they're saying. Okay, let me see if I can flip this. Give me just a second. I apologize. I am looking at, see if I can swap. I don't know that I got any mirroring turned on. I apologize. Let's see here if there's any way that I can take this. Let me go to another screen here. Give me just a second. I'll be right back. I'm not going anywhere. Okay. How's that look? I apologize. Thank you for coming, Sonia. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Come back and watch it later. I do appreciate it. Okay, I believe that's going to be the correct way. All right, and again, this is my first live stream, so I apologize. Thank you all for bearing with me here. And I want to go ahead and let's see here. And see if I can run that again. There we go. And give credit where credit is due. There's Mr. Kevin, the Kev Central YouTuber. He is moderating. So, okay. Get back on track here. I apologize for the flip-flop. That was terrible. So, now, with your 6 different chemistries and your cylindrical cells, which one is best? Well, this is where it can become a very heated topic. My opinion, and I will tell you why my opinion, will be a LiPo 4. Now that can be prismatic, that could be cylindrical. Now, why would I pick LiPo 4 over, say, lithium ion? Not because you can get a 272 amp hour to 280 amp hour single cell, but safety. So lithium ion, I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of the videos that are out on the net related to lithium ion and the fires. That's a word I don't like saying very much, just because it can be, lithium is dangerous. If something happens to short out, they can cause a huge fire because of the chemistry inside. Now, the LiPo-4, I have seen a video where somebody punctured the side and they did get a little fire. But 99% of the time, they will just off gas through that hole. Or they'll swell up. But there will be no fires. Well, typically there's no fire. Let's state that. Typically there's no fires. So my opinion, LiPo-4 is the safest cell at this present time for power wall builds or your DIY power walls. Now, since we're in the same safety realm, I'm going to bring up really quick BMS. Now, we're going to have a whole topic on BMS, but should you use a BMS with any type of DIY power wall? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. BMS is a battery management system. This is safety. Now, why do you want a BMS? Now, BMSs can come in several different forms, shapes, sizes, brands. Now, this right here is a brand that we can pick up, and I'll show you this one. This is a very popular BMS. It's called an Ant BMS. Now, this particular BMS is a 400 amp up to a 20S. I believe this is the 7 through 20 or 10 through 20 Ant BMS. And I believe that their BMS will support LiPo and lithium. So just make sure to read your docs on your BMSs. But now if we go look at, let's start off with this cheapo BMS. I bought this strictly to make videos to show you guys what a crappy BMS is. Now, if you're going to ask where I got this from, well, I picked this up off of Wish. But sadly, you can pick this up on AliExpress, Alibaba. I've even seen some of these that are on Amazon that are just crap. Now, what I mean by crap, well, safety is the other reason for BMS. You want to be able to balance your batteries, but you want to be safe too. Now, again, this is just a crap BMS. Now, it does have your heatsink, a little tiny aluminum heatsink on top. It's got all your MOSFETs. I don't see, there's small, tiny resistors. This is an SMD. SMD would be like your microcircuits. So this is not one that I would recommend buying. If you do want to buy a BMS like this, at least buy a brand that you would see, like say Dali or Del Green. Now, these are also what they call unmonitored BMSs. What is an unmonitored BMS? An unmonitored BMS is it just works. You can't change any settings in it. You can't view each parallel or each series. You can't see anything. It is set from the factory, bada bing, bada boom. You got to trust it. I don't particularly like that. Now, this particular Ant BMS does have monitoring. It does have an app. It does have Bluetooth. And it does, you can purchase a screen for it. So you can see all of your cells, and you can see or rather, you can change the settings within. So if you do buy this style BMS, I recommend the Ant BMS personally. Now, Dali has a BMS that you can go in. It's called a smart BMS. This is a smart BMS. This is a non-smart. But they do have smart BMSs that have Bluetooth, UART, 485, various different connection points. And you can also buy screens for them. So take that in consideration when you're going out and buying a BMS. So I didn't want to get too far into the BMSs right now, but I did. And real quick, if you guys are familiar with the DIY BMS, Stuart Pittaway, great guy. He's across the pond. This is the newest version, 4.2 controller with the ESP32. Now, this is the old 4.0 version of the DIY BMS. These right here are still great. There's nothing wrong with it, but this version has built-in relays, and he's working on a shunt. Hush, hush. Now, he's put that out public. So this is a lot more safe. You don't have to buy the external relays. And I'm going to get more into it to go over the BMS portion of it. Let me see here real quick if I can pop one of these out. Nope, that's the older. I literally, right before the live feed, I finally got the new 4.4 boards in, and I ordered quite a few of these. But this is the 4.4 monitoring boards that go on your batteries with the break-off cell temperature sensor right here. And I got it in black to match the controller, even though it's going on green cells. So who would have thunk it? All right, let's look over here back at the lovely chat. And we're going to go in a lot more deeper about BMSs here shortly. Sean says the Ant BMSs are pretty nice. They are. That's one thing that I was going to bring up, Sean. Actually, on Sean's YouTube channel, he set up his home, smart home that he built, and he's got his DIY BMS incorporated. He did a little video with the relays and the relay board, how he set all that up. That's nice, really nice. All right, little tiny screws for the crappy BMS. Okay, so now I want to get into a topic of ion versus lipo-4. Now, I kind of went over this a little bit and touched on it. We already discussed what would I choose for the cells. So I currently had 18650 as my power wall, my DIY power wall here, and I've still got literally a couple of thousand ring battery packs that are still unopened, and I've got like 5,000 to 6,000 of these cells individually that I never completed building the power wall with. So the lipo-4, that's my way to go, just safer. Now let's talk about the prismatic, cylinder, and pouch. We went over this a little bit. I'm kind of backtracking. Now, why do you want to do a prismatic or a pouch or a cylinder? Well, we've got to take some considerations here. Well, you know your prismatic and your pouch cells need to be compressed. The manufacturer recommends you to compress your cells. Why? Well, with your prismatic, as they charge and discharge, they tend to want to expand a little bit. Now, in saying, I've seen people that do not compress. Now, we're not talking, put an 18-wheeler truck of compression on these. No, when you put these together in whatever parallel or series that you want to do, you don't want these sidewalls right here bulging. Because when they bulge, I've seen, I can't share the individual's name, but when you have your bus bars at the top and these bulge, they'll start doing like this. And over time, they will break your positive and negative terminals off. They can short out, and also it can kill the battery. So compression, compression, compression. That'll keep your battery from expanding, shorten its lifespan, and so you don't short out your terminals. Let's look back over here at the chat again. I am going to touch on Batrium. I have no experience with REC BMS, but I do have a Batrium. I really like it, but now that Stuart Pitaway has made a lot of changes on the DIY BMS, I'm all for that. Now, let's talk about getting your new battery. Say I just got all of these new in the mail. Let's get some lithiums. Now, I just got all of these in the mail, and let's just say I've got 200 of these 25 amp hour cells, and I've got 4,000 18650s. What do you do as soon as you get your new batteries? Leave it to, let me what you would do in the comments. What would you do with your new cells as soon as you get them? Now, depends on the chemistry, right? Well, LiPo 4, first we want to do is go through and check every cell individually, check its voltage. Well, we want to do the same thing with lithium ion. We want to check the voltage. And then what do we want to do? Now, do we want to charge each one individually? I've done that with these 18650s. I have tested and tore open packs from power to spare example. You open up the packs, if you buy a pack, or now power to spare. Let me throw a quick shout out here to Mr. Terry. He is an individual that has a great company. And I say individual, his name's Terry. He cares about his customers. I'm not paid by him, but he is an individual that cares about his customers. Everything from the start of the product sale to the end goal. Now, if a customer buys either he sells 18650s that are tested, or he tears them apart, tests them, and then packages them up in certain sizes. You can get a 3000 mAh or milliamp hour, all the way up to 3500 milliamp hour, whatever range that you can work out with him. He'll test them, put them in boxes, and guarantee them. So if you happen to get a bad sale, he is going to take care of you. Now, I probably shouldn't be saying this, but I've just seen it in the comments on Facebook. So now, after I throw out power to spare, I apologize. So 18650s, you take every cell out and test them individually for its capacity, especially if it's a recycled cell. Now, we can buy brand new cells from the different manufacturers or retailers. And what do? We still take that same cell and throw it in our Opus, throw it in our Lithium-Ion, throw it in our whatever tester that we have, and test its internal resistance. I got blurriness going on there. Maybe I need to turn off automatic focus. I can do it without shaking the camera. Test the cell's resistance. Then we test its capacity, charge it up, discharge it, and we get the capacity of each cell individually, right? Yes. Well, you want to do that with every cell you get, no matter whether it's new or old. Now, I bought these from Battery Hookup. They had these 25 amp hour top band Navitas cells, and they were selling them for $12.50. I apologize, they are gone. Yes, I bought them all. No, I did not. But they had quite a bit of them, and they were supposed to have a second round, and they did not make it. Apparently, somebody got there before they posted them up, or the second sale didn't go through. I don't know. But we take these, and we'll put these all in parallel. We'll get, say, example, if we've got 200 cells, we can do groups of 15, 20, 30, have all your positives together and all your negatives together, and we charge them all up together. Now, that may take a while with these large cells, but once we charge them up, we'll get their internal resistance, and then we'll discharge and see what the capacity rating is. So let me move over to the chat here. Oh, Terry's in here. Hello, Mr. Terry. It's hard to beat Mr. Terry. He is a great guy. Let's see here. Sean got his cells from Power to Spare. He's right. Terry took care of it. Yeah, I remember seeing something about in the Facebook groups that Terry took care of your issue. I don't remember the issue. That's between you and Terry. I don't get into any of that. So that's one good thing about Terry. Customer service. I don't care where you go. If they don't have customer service, they don't have products. Period. We as DIYers, we want customer service. Now, I'm not throwing any company out there on the end of the rope. I'm not saying any company's name, but this goes for anybody, any company, any product. If you go out and buy these Kleins right here, and they break, and they have a 10-year warranty, in 5 years, you want to be able to replace them. So that's all I'm going to get in about that. So, same thing, you have to test your cells, whether they're new, recycled, used, whatever it may be. You have to recycle. You have to test your cells, test your voltage, test your resistance, charge them up, and then test your discharge. See what size. Because when you build your packs, you want all of your cells, say this is a 2000 mAh. I believe this is actually like a 2400 milliamp hour Sony. So, here we go, 22.6. That is a 2263, so internal resistance of 48. So, you want to put your cell packs, say this one right here is a 2200 milliamp hour, and this is a 3000 milliamp hour, and this one right here is a 1000 milliamp hour. Well, this originally was a 2400 milliamp hour battery, and it's down to 1800. Well, that cell is degraded a lot. Do you want to take a chance and put this 1800 milliamp hour cell in with a 3000 mAh or 3000 milliamp hour pack? Well, eventually something's going to happen to this cell. Either the CID on top is going to pop, or it's going to become a heater, or something. You want to take something that is, I say, now this is my personal preference. You want to be I say 80%. Some people go 60% on their lithium ion. I try to stay around 80%. If it's less than 80, it goes in the recycle bin. That's me personally. So make sure you test your cells. Most everybody now does, but I have seen some people that get brand new cells in from their supplier and they throw them in a pack and start spot welding and they never test. Well, not me. Not me. That's right, Terry. Treat your customers as you want to be treated. Okay, now let's move on to, let's see what time we got here. 8:17. Let's move on to, actually, let's do a Q&A. What would you like to ask me while we take a little break? Anything you want to ask. I know I'm a small channel. I've only got a little over 1,000 subscribers, and I appreciate every single subscriber. Matter of fact, I know it's a long shot. While we look at the Q&A for people to ask me some questions, once I hit 100,000 subscribers, I have something big to give away to one of you. So I'm just going to mention that. The information is down in the details. So I know 100,000 subscribers is a long way off, and that could change. It could be way bigger, a lot more once I hit 100,000 subscribers. But that's minimum. That's guaranteed. Let's see here. Any questions before we move on to BMSs? Again, my opinion, your prismatic cells, your pouch cells, please, please, please compress them. I've seen too many videos here lately about prismatic cells not being compressed. Now, how should you compress them? There's so many different ways you can use compression. You can take if you measure this and then measure your length, you can use, 2 pieces of say 2x6 with some threaded rods. I've seen people take a shipping strap, like they put on pallets, and they'll put a piece of plywood on each end and then put 3 bands to do the compression. That's equally good. Let's see here. What is my least favorite cell? Oh, my least favorite cell would have to be nickel metal hydride. Or even alkaline. Alkaline are good for one-time use. This is your standard 9-volt battery that you go out and buy. And your nickel metal hydrides are typically your standard, go to your big name brand warehouse or shopping store and you buy your rechargeables. Now, they're now selling some, let me turn, see if I can get, without shaking, nope, I'm shaking it. I've got an overhead camera, so these are your standard rechargeables. If you can see it from the glare, this is just a Duracell rechargeable. They're NIMH 1.2 volt double A's, just standard nickel metal hydride. So I would say nickel metal hydride. Now, why would I say nickel metal hydride? Well, here we go. This is a nickel metal hydride tool pack cells that are in a lot of our rechargeable drills or saws. And they simply just do not last. The life cycle on these are terrible. Now, nickel metal hydride, if you run it all the way down, because they're kind of memory based, if you run it all the way down, and you don't charge it, well, you've pretty much of abusing the cell. If you do that multiple times, yeah, they're just not going to be no good, just like these. Or if you let nickel metal hydride set for a certain period of time at its low point, it's not going to be able to recover. What's going on, Josh? Welcome to the live stream. All right. So, alkaline, they're okay for your kids' toys for one-time use. Your nickel metal hydride rechargeables, they're a little bit better than alkaline, but again, kind of limited there. Let's see if I'm covering everything so far. Took me kind of flash this through here. Took me a little note list to look over. I got that from Kev Central. He started on his live streams that I moderate for him. He started making a list. So it kind of got me in the habit of making a list to make sure I cover all my topics. Now, the only thing that I don't have up here Oh, thanks, NX Pro. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, my original channel was called Is It Rigged? And the intention of that channel was to test products in general and see how well they held up, if the product was rigged, if it was like an as seen on TV product. And I got into doing solar more like YouTube error. And I realized that, well, Is It Rigged just did not match the name for what I was doing. So I renamed the channel to DIY Solar Energy because I didn't want to leave my subscribers hanging with nothing. So, yep, welcome to the channel. Thank you. Appreciate it. I see Tonic, welcome. Now, what I was going next is BMSs. I've touched on it just a little bit. Now, actually I touched on it quite a bit. So, BMSs, Battery Management System. Now, I can't bring up the Batrium up here, unfortunately. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up a few of the other BMSs that I have here. Now, we'll start off again with these. I talked about these earlier being, this is a crappy BMS. This is a better brand, but both of these are uneditable. You can't change any of the configuration settings. You can't see any of the balancing. Now, why would you want to use a BMS? Well, just that. You want to be able to balance your cells while charging, while discharging. And when your batteries are not in use, you want the batteries to be equally balanced. That's the whole point of BMS, is to prevent overcharging and undercharging. But when it comes to LiPo 4, you don't want to charge it while they're freezing, or, below, here in America, 32 degrees, or in Celsius, 0 degrees. So BMSs are going to help protect your batteries and help protect you. So now, with unmonitored, there's a couple of channels out there that are using these Dali brand BMSs. This is a Lithium-Ion 14S 48 volt. This is a common port. And what is a common port? Well, you charge and discharge through the same lead. And this one is a 60 amp discharge and a 30 amp charge. So you have a P negative. Let's see if I can get in here a little closer. You have a P negative and a B negative. Well, the B negative will go to your battery negative, And then this wire right here would go to, say, your terminal, your charger, or your load. So these style, they're okay, but I would rather have one that has the monitoring and editing capabilities. Me personally. So your cheap ones, just throw them away. Now, in this style of BMS, the ANT BMS, the ANT BMS does have temperature sensor. They do have a built-in Bluetooth, so you can edit the config to your likings. You can monitor. You can add a screen to this. Screens are not necessary. You just want to be able to set the perimeters and be able to log in and see what your batteries are doing. If you have a parallel or a series set that's not balancing correctly, you want to be able to say, hey, I've got an issue with pack 41. You know, it's not charging correctly. So take that for consideration. Always buy more of a, I guess, a smarter BMS. I don't like using that term, but you've got to be able to see what's going on with your battery pack. Now, Batrium does just that, just like the DIY BMS, except the Batrium doesn't have a screen on it, but they have an awesome piece of software. Now, the Batrium BMS is more of a commercial-based BMS, and it was originally developed for cars, for electrical systems, to help balance their batteries and whatnot. And so Stuart Pitway developed the first, this is not the first one, it's version 4, but this is built on a ESP8266, and this is a neat little controller. Now, you can buy the board with most of the components on it, and without the header and the connectors, and without the ESP8266. You can get this without the header pins. You can get 5 of them on JLC PCB for about 20 bucks. You can pay for express shipping. Now, there's a great web interface for it. You can go in there and set all of your settings. You can use these headers to add an external relay set like this one to help control, say, a shunt breaker. So now, the newer version, instead of using the little ESP8266, which was still great, he has upgraded to the ESP32, which is a W-Room-32D. See if I can get that in view right here for you. Kind of a little hard to read there, I apologize. Now, the size difference doesn't really make that much of a difference. It's the software and what each microcontroller can do. So take that in consideration. Now, moving on to, say, well, like Batrium, the Watchman 5. I believe the Watchman 5 can, please don't hold me to this, I think it's around 6 amp hours a day for the Watchman 5. But it has all of the balance connectors built into the board, just like this. All the balance leads built into it. Where you got the Watchman 4, which has their long mons that can do, and I believe it's 17 amp hours, or no, 27 amp hours a day. Well, this is version 4.21 from DIY BMS, and I believe that this can do 1.6 amp hours. So if we add that for 24 hours, I believe we're a little bit over, what, close to 30 amp hours a day, if I've got that correct. Now, I believe this is the big box of, yep. Now, he came up when I showed you guys briefly with the newest version, and these are not built. I literally got these right before I went live. These are version 4.4 with the external temperature sensors. Now, these have a temp sensor on them, and you can go, if you see right here, the last two headers, you can add your external temp sensor. But on this one, he made a little breakaway right here. It's kind of hard to see, but it'll break away right there. And you plug it in here. So you can have your onboard and external temp sensor. But I believe these are around 1.7 amp hours each. So it's not much of a difference. I went out and bought a butt ton of these and been putting the AT Tiny chips on them in D1. Well, got to do the same thing here. I got to put the AT Tiny 841 in the D1 here because JLC PCB did not have the D1, but they had everything else. So I'd recommend the Batrium or the DIY BMS. Let's look over here at the chat. Oh man, I really like the breakaway. Since it's already built onto the board, just pop it, snap it. But I bought, and you guys are going to laugh at this, the 4.21s. It's not much of a difference as far as balancing wise, but I bought 100 of these to put the AT Tiny 841 chips on. And I want to see if I can move away from Batrium, because the Batrium I have is unfortunately the Watchman 5, and it can only go up to a 15S. So I bought a butt ton of these, and I just don't think that the Watchman 5 can balance, 250 amp hours of LiPo 4. Plus, I really want to do 16S. But when I told you guys I bought 100 of these, I've got a whole nother wrap of these in there, and these are stacks of doubles. So I've got a lot of the 4.21 boards for monitoring, and I'm going to use it for LiPo 4. I know it's kind of off camera here. Let me zoom back out so you can kind of see. Do we have any questions yet? Any questions so far? So, as I wait for the questions to roll in, we've got 12 watching, and I apologize, I'm a small account. Well, I don't apologize. I still thank every single subscriber. So, I would prefer a monitored BMS over a non-monitored BMS. I want to be able to look at everything. My opinion. Take it as you wish. I think it's safer. There's a lot of, that could probably get into a heated discussion, but I want to be safe. I want to keep my family safe. Oh, which brings up another topic I'll come to in just a minute. How did you put your AT Tiny on your boards? Yes, so I've got a hot air gun, so I just got some solder paste, put a little flux down. Let me grab one of these, I'll show you. So let me see if I can zoom in. I always get that backwards. So your AT Tiny chip goes here, and your D1 chip goes right here. So I put a little bit of flux. I bought a little flux pen, or I call it the flux highlighter. Wipe a little flux right there. I take my solder paste, it's in a syringe, and I put a little dab on each one of those contacts. And I set my AT Tiny down. Now make sure you get your number 1 pin. Let's see, get your number 1 pin. You see it right there. put your number 1 pin on there, sit it down, make sure it's laid flat, and then get your hot air gun and go over it, try to get it warm. Then I try to move around to the pins. And do the same thing for D1. Okay, let's see here. What box did I put that DIY BMS in? I will, after the live feed, I'll try to remember, but so I was talking to Stuart Pitway on Patreon, and I don't have it buttoned in here. It just came in the mail a few days ago. He designed this board somewhat around this case. So you can easily put it in a case, and it's DIN rail mounted. So I'll put a link below, either from, I purchased this off of Amazon. I got it a lot quicker. It still came from China, from Amazon, but I still, like I said, I got it much quicker. So I'll put a link after in the description after the live feed, so you can go get you one. Okay, flip a page. Let's talk charging. Any other questions? Charging. Now, I'm not going to bring up all the chargers up here, but chargers, another big heated topic, potentially heated topic. Let's see what Tonit said here. Are you able to open the circuit controller BOM file on GitHub? I can't open it. See a list of parts. You can take the BOM file and open it up in Notepad, or you can go into GitHub and click on the file individually, and you can see the file if you click on it. Does that answer? Or you download the zip file, you can extract it, right click it, depending on if you're on Windows or Mac or Linux, and open it up in a Notepad. So chargers. Now, this is not a charger. This is the BATGO BG8S. This can be somewhat of a BMS or a balancer, but I mainly use it to monitor packs. Like example, I use this on a Model S pack to kind of look at the voltages of the cells before I got my balance boards in. And I never actually got the balance boards in. I wound up cutting the plug off of it and hooking it up to a Batrum Watchman 5. So there's several different type of chargers. You've got your DC to DC charger. This is an iCharger X8. DC to DC means DC in, DC out. There's no AC, but it does have balance. Now, with an iCharger, you can do a regenerative charge, which means you can take power once you do your testing and it's all charged. You bring your DC in here and DC out here and balance. Regenerative discharge would mean it would take the juice from the battery pack in here and send it back out. Now, my level would be, so if you've got a 300 amp hour pack over here that you're charging and wanting to discharge, your DC charge pack needs to be 3 times that, or at least 2 times that. So you would need a 600 amp hour pack over here to charge. Now, some people, wait, before I go there. Hang on, before I go there. we'll start with the battery packs. So you got your 300 amp pack, 300 amp hour pack over here you're wanting to charge. You would need a double on this side at least to do a regenerative discharge. Why do I say that? Well, if you have a 300 amp hour battery over here, you've got 300 amp hour battery over here, and you're doing DC to DC charging, you're never going to be able to fill up the 300 amp hour battery pack over here with the iCharger. You're going to have something larger than 300, maybe say 500. Yeah, we'll say 500. So you can have a 500 amp hour pack that's feeding your 300 amp hour pack. Why? Well, like I said, 300 to 300, it's never going to be able to charge it all the way. So if you have your 500 amp hour pack feeding your DC 300 amp hour pack, when you do a regenerative discharge, you're taking your 300 amp hours and you're putting it back in to your 500 amp hour pack. That way you're not having to wall charge and use energy from the grid or from your other battery packs. Does that make sense? Your DC to DC, your primary DC will have to be larger than your charge. Otherwise, you won't be able to charge it up all the way. And if you don't have enough room in your DC, your main DC to DC charging, you've got to have expansion. You can't do 300 to 300. So your DC DC need a larger, I say double. So if you got 300, 600, you've got room. Now we have your HobbyMate speed charger. I love this. Now both of these will do lithium, lipo, several different chemistries. But this is a DC to DC. Now this will do DC to DC here and your DC out, but this also has AC in. Now both of these chargers are constant current, constant voltage, which is what we need. Especially for lipo, we need to be able to top those lipo batteries off. But you can take power in from the grid, or you can take power in from your inverter and AC and bring it out DC. Great little charger. Now this is what they call the HobbyMate Speed H6. Now after the live stream, I'll go through and put all of these chargers in links below to help you all out. And I'll also put the back go. This thing's awesome. I've got like 3 or 4 of these just sitting around here for when I'm testing packs. Now, your Sky RC. Now, there is another brand. Actually, there's a lot of fakes out there. So this is a true Sky RC IMAX B6 AC V2. Now, what does that mean? Well, we can bring AC in, or we can bring DC in. So AC in or DC in, it'll take 100 to 240 volts. And this will take 11 to 18 volts. Now, this will only go up to, I believe, a 6S charger. And the 8X will do up to an 8S. And the HobbyMate will do up to a 6S. So take that in consideration. Most of us are building 1S packs. So this will do up to a 6S. Yep, 6S is right here on top. That'd be your balance ports. And that would be your DC out. This is a great little charger. A lot of RC guys use it. They'll hook it up to their battery on their car from their DC in while they're out there running their RC cars, and be able to charge their battery packs. This will up convert the voltage or down convert either way. So with the iCharger and the HobbyMate. So I use this somewhat, a little bit, but it will only charge like nickel metal hydride 6 amps, LiPo 4, I think it's around like 2 amps on LiPo 4. Yeah, 1 to 2 amps. It will do charge and discharge. There's a lot of people that use this. So the IMAX B6 AC V2. But when I mean there's a lot of fakes. Oh, here's a B6 AC. They look very similar. Very similar. But now there are some of the fake ones out there with the same color, same name, same everything. But look at our little seal right here. Scratch check. Well, I haven't even scratch checked it because I know where I bought it. But there's a lot of fakes, a lot of clones out there. So make sure you get what you pay for. Check your sellers. Make sure you get reputable products. You don't get any knockoffs unless you know that's what you're paying for. I almost bought a knockoff IMAX Sky RC. Now this one is not supposed to be a knockoff another brand. It's supposed to be another brand altogether. But the more I look at it, it's a knockoff. All right, so kind of chargers again. I'll go back after the live stream and put all of this in the description below so you can go check them all out. Do we have any questions? Any questions? Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the IMAX either, Terry. I bought it. I was rebuilding a jumper box for a buddy of mine with LiPo 4, and I was going to try to use it to put inside the pack to balance it. You know, use the batteries inside the jump box to start the vehicle or whatever he's trying to start, and then put the balance lead on the outside, hook it up, and charge it. But it didn't do. It did not do. I wound up buying him a HobbyMate, one with the AC, so he can just charge up his little LiPo 4 pack for his jump boxes pretty quick. Any other questions as of now? Let me look through here. Yeah, see. I printed out some information to make sure I covered it, and mainly, like, I don't mind sharing what I printed out. See if I can zoom in on that for you. It ain't too much. Basically, what the graph's going to show you is your specific energies, like your nickel metal hydride, nickel metal canadium. I can't even get the word out. Your lithium ion, very high power. You've got these are kind of your power curves or your energy density of it. I still can't say that word. And I wanted to print all of this stuff out to make sure that when I was discussing it, that I'm covering everything correctly, like your different type of batteries. It's even got supercapacitors. What is lithium air? I have yet to see anything called lithium air. But I just want to make sure I got everything covered. The other reason for this live stream, the main reason for the live stream, is I keep seeing so many individuals talking about, check my email when I get a chance. You got it, boss. These LiPo 4s, prismatic, and not compressing them. That was very scary to me. You spend all that money on your prismatic cells and you don't compress them. Well, Headway, for example. Now these are cylindrical, and these are, you know, these are 8 amp hours a piece. They'll do 200 amp hours. I forget the time. It's like a pulse, maybe 10 seconds at 200 amps. So this right here is a 12 volt battery pack that I have made here. And this is a 600 amp 24 amp hour LiPo 4 headway. A lot of your bass heads and car audio guys use a headway, but this right here is going to be in a project in one of my very short upcoming videos. If I can get the BMS from the company that I've ordered it from, that was supposed to be here a long time ago. I don't know if I want to talk about your PWM chargers and MPPT chargers on this stream. Can I cover voltages from solar panels to charge different battery setups that are typical for power walls? I can. I sure can. Matter of fact, I have my shop at about 66 degrees and I am freezing. Before we start that, let me go over here and get a sip of water and take a quick break. Give me about 10-15 seconds and we'll talk about solar panels, charging them, matching them to your battery bank, and I guess we'll bring up the solar charge controllers. So give me just a minute. I'll be right back. To my desk. All right. Headways are intimidating. Why are headways intimidating? Would it be because of the amount of amperage that they hold in such a small device? All right. Let's see here. Voltages from solar panels to charge the different battery setups that are typical for power walls. Well, so let me ask Terry, are you wanting to look more in the amount of panels you should have? Or should you mix lithium ion with LiPo 4, which you should never ever do? I do want to say, in today's world, we definitely want to use a MPPT charge controller. You know, you've got inverters like GrowWatt that have that built in, but you've also got, I think my microphone may be a tad bit high. You've also got like a Victron smart charge controller. I do want to say that I think I may know where Terry's wanting to go with the voltages. So let's say you have a 30 kilowatt hour battery bank, and your battery bank is, say, your nominal voltage on your battery, let's just say 48 volt nominal. Some of them go up to like 56 to 58 volts. So your solar array, so you have a 30 kilowatt hour battery bank, and you want to, you deplete that during the night. Your house consumes 30 kilowatt hours of energy during the night. Well, you want to be able to, different series parallel setups people make. I got you. Okay, so not necessarily the amount that you would need, because that can get very different, because I've seen people with 30 kilowatt hours of storage and only have 2 kilowatt hours of of panels. So let's talk about solar panels and charge controllers. So example, certain solar panels, say like Renogy or LG, every panel that you buy has a different voltage and a different amperage and a different wattage output. So you want to make sure, if you're going to do a 48 volt nominal pack, you want to be able to, first of all, you want to be able to get a charge controller that can handle your voltages to start with. That's your main thing you want to check for. Next would be your solar panels. I prefer to run my solar panels at a higher voltage than 48 volt nominal. You know, if my solar charge controller can handle, say, 250 volts, I want to take my solar panels and put them in series to add up to 250 volts. Why? Well, typically, your lower voltage will be more amperage. Your higher voltage will be less amperage. Think about it this way. And then we've got a difference between AC and DC. AC is alternating current and DC is direct current. So think about your car being a 12 volt nominal car. When you go to start your car, your starter is pulling, 400, 500 amps to start your motor over. And your battery cables for going to your starter are, the size of my thumb, which would be, say, 4 to 2 gauge. Well, if you have a higher solar panel voltage coming into your charger from, say, half an acre away, then you're going to have a huge voltage drop if they're lower, because you're going to have to run, to get your, so you've got, we're going to say 10 panels at 10 amps. That's 100 amps. If you run your standard, 10 gauge, 8 gauge from your panels an acre away to your house, you're going to have a significant voltage and amperage drop. But if you carry that voltage up higher, you're going to be able to use a smaller diameter wire, and your voltage drop is going to be a lot less. Now, so you've got, we've got our 10 panels in series, which makes up, at this point, let's say each panel puts out 10 volts. So we got 100 volts at 100 amps, which that's not right. But we're just going to use that for math. Now, I want to add more panels to up my amperage. So I want to keep my voltages kind of close to the same. So I can add 3 strings three parallel strings to that. So that would give me, keep my 100 volts. And each panel, so we have 1, 2, 3. Those come together in a parallel. Go to your next set. 1, 2, 3. Well, now, since I've added 3 panels in parallel, that now will give me 300 amps at 100 volts. Now, again, those are not correct math numbers. I'm just using that as an example. Now, the problem still lies, does your charge controller allow you to have 300 amps of amperage coming in? Well, some of them allow, I think what I've seen, a Victron 250 volt at 100 amps. Well, so you're going to have to break that up. You're going to have to, break your strings up, meaning that instead of having 10 panels, you're going to have 5 panels, 2 sets of 5 with 3 each. Well, that still brings it down to 150 amps. So we'll have to break it down again. So now we have, let's see here, 4. I would not want to do 5. I'm trying to do quick math in my head here. So 550. So your charge controller can do 100 amps. You never want to go over your 100 amp threshold. If your panels are 10 amp panels, I would say keep it at 80 amps per string. Now, you may have to have multiple charge controllers, and that's okay, and a lot of people do. So, is that where you're kind of wanting me to go, Terry? To make sure that they have the panel set up correctly to the charge controller to their battery pack, if I explained it correctly. The way I'm thinking in my head may be a little bit different than what's coming out. Let's see here. Any questions, comments, shout outs, anything? I'm here to answer questions, do whatever I can. Okay. 15 viewers. Let me see let me swap back to the bench. Go over here. Anything else I need to cover? Yes, there's one thing left I need to cover. I hope I don't get no flack from this. Now, these are more of your 18650. Let me bring something over for... Do I have one ready here? Yes, I've got a couple of them. I don't think... Yeah, those are kind of clean. Make sure I get all this in frame. Okay. There's some brass, there's some copper. Okay, all in frame. So, battery connections. Well, when you put your batteries in, and I apologize for kind of going all over the place. I've got somewhat of a little script going here, but I didn't write down about this, but I wanted to include it before I end. You have your parallel and series connections with 18650s or even some of your cylindrical LiPo 4, and they typically use this pure nickel strip. Now we have offset pure nickel, and most all of this came from Keith's store, 18650 shrink. This came from Battery Hookup. This is not pure nickel. This is a steel nickel coated. As you see, I was doing some testing with it here. But most of your nickel strip will get a better connection than, say, your copper or your aluminum. Copper can, actually, your silver is your most conductive rare mineral. But I'm not going to do a spot welding, but I wanted to make sure that what you're getting, now these are okay, but these will rust because they are steel nickel coated. They do work, but I believe average Joe, I was talking to Joe, and I believe these were around 10 amps, if I remember correctly, that these individual fuses burn. Now, this style has no fusing, no safety whatsoever. But, reason why I brought this up, on your prismatic cells, or any type of cell that has a bolt, we don't have protection with, or any type of fusing with a LiPo 4, but they're a much safer chemistry. Now, these are some little bus bars that I made. Now, these are aluminum. I was thinking about going aluminum for my prismatic cells, and I bought a bunch of aluminum, had it cut, and I drilled it, measured it all out. But, so you've got aluminum. Every material has a resistance factor. Aluminum, I think, somewhere around like, I want to say it's somewhere like 27 in your resistance factor. If I remember correctly, that may be wrong. Your brass has even higher resistance in it than aluminum, believe it or not. Your resistance factor in brass is somewhere around like 37, something like that, and in your aluminum's, like I said, like 17, somewhere in that neighborhood. But copper is somewhere around like 4 or 5 on your resistance factor. So I bought a bunch of copper flat bar, and this is 3/4 inch by 1/8 inch. Of course, you know, copper can carry more current than aluminum. And you see that my copper is way thinner than my aluminum. So I had to make that difference up in aluminum. So, yeah, this is like 3/16 thick, and this is, like I said, 1/8 inch. But, you know, this strip right here can carry over 400 amps. But I've got to drill, I've got to put my insulators between my prismatic cells, and I'm going to compress them. Once I get the packs compressed, I'm going to put, let me zoom you out. I'm going to put these on like that. Then I've made these. I'll have to just do it here. To create my series connections, drill and tap, and put a bolt on, and make me a little L to create my next series connections. So essentially I'll be doing something like this. then there'll be another bar at the other end. Depends on the length. That way I'm using an all copper. Now I wanted a silver or a zinc coating on this, but the prices just was not in my budget. Simply was not in my budget. I looked at some of the rounded edge flat copper silver stock. If I can get all of that out, it still was not in my budget. So unfortunately, after buying all these prismatic cells, when I should have actually went and got like 272 amp hour, 280 amp hour cells, I think I would have been close to the same amount of money instead of buying, I think I've got 162 of these, and I'm like 6 to 8 short on doing the 250 amp hour of these bad boys. So I'm trying to locate a few of those. But so if you use copper stock for your bus bars, you're gonna have to increase the thickness just a little bit. Just make sure your studs can go over it. And always on these prismatic cells, use a lock washer or a flange nut. This is a serrated flange nut. This is a stainless flange nut. So it will eat into, as you'll see the circles here, they will eat. I gotta not short that out. They will lock down, eat into that material so it won't back out. So, all right, well, before I wrap up, any other questions? Have I bored you long enough? Again, I appreciate you stopping in and watching my live feed. It mainly, like I said, was about cell compression and chemistries and safety. I didn't do a video. If you want to watch a safety video that somebody made, go look up Average Joe. He made a great safety video related to your battery safety, and I think that's the way to go. We've got to be safe. So I want to go ahead and give Kev Central another shout out. I appreciate Kevin for you moderating and helping me out. We are going to be doing a video together, be a 3-part series on the video of a Raton battery, which is an e-bike battery, and it will, show us how to rebuild an e-bike battery. Well, looky there. I didn't have there we go. And the cells are going to be provided by Power to Spare. So, yeah. Mr. Terry was gracious enough to get us some cells for our Raton. Oh, my Jesus. A Raton battery e-bike that we're rebuilding. So, any other questions? I thank you guys. I hope it wasn't too much out of whack for my first one. I tried to follow a script, but when this is over, I'll go through and add links to all of those devices that were in there. Brick Pixel. I'll save this live feed. You guys can go back and watch it anytime you want to. So it'll be up there. And I do this a lot. Kev has told me that I need to stop doing the but he says it will eventually stop. So, we got Uncle Baki. That's how tired I am. I went and got the COVID vaccine shot today. I got the Pfizer shot. So Earlier, I was exhausted. I had a very bad headache, and I didn't know if I was going to make the live feed, but I feel much better. I did take some ibuprofen. So this was my first COVID shot, and I'm glad, you know. I'm a huge fan of trying to protect my family and others. You know, I try to stay home as much as possible. Just, you know, this virus has got to get under control. And this is probably not the place to talk about this virus, but I have been vaccinated, and my wife's getting her set, and my kids even talked about today wanting to get theirs. So make sure you protect yourself and others. Again, everybody give a big round of applause for Kevin at Kev Central. Make sure you like and subscribe, and go over and see Terry, Texas, which is Power to Spare. Go buy some batteries from him, and you can use the coupon code. He just emailed me. He used the let me see if I can throw it up here on the screen. I don't know if I can. Without the quotes, I'm gonna have to resize it. You guys are probably seeing it everywhere. I apologize. That's what you get for doing stuff live, right? Wow. Resize. Coupon code for Power to Spare. Go check it out. Here, I'll do it like this right here. That's what you get for doing stuff live. powertospare.net. And I'll put a dash in there. Go visit Terry, buy you some batteries. Again, this isn't sponsored, but I want to help out the good people that's helping us out. And, of course, Kev Central. A lot of this would not be possible without Kevin pushing me, and then we're doing live streams for him, and so I really needed to get out here and be more interactive with you all. And what better way to not talk about batteries? Any other questions? Go ahead and, let's see, right there. Click that subscribe button if you're not subscribed. Hit that notification bell. I've got a good video coming up. Let's just say it's amateur radio related, but it's automotive related. It's safety related, but it'll help you out in the time you need. So, yep, no quotes. No quotes. Here, I'll correct that. No quotes. No quotes. And let's see, coupon code. Just see if we can do it like this. DIY solar energy. DIY space solar space energy. All right, well, I will stop here, and anything I can help you guys out with, shoot me a email. You can go over to the About, and my email's below. Anything I can help you with, I'd be happy to. Visit Kev Central. Check out his YouTube channel. Visit powertospare.net. And give me a little while and I'll get those links uploaded. I appreciate it, everybody. Give me a thumbs up. Take care. See you guys. Bye-bye.